on the surface, for those of you who don't really follow really closely British politics and to get into the nitty-gritty, and as I've often described this, imagine a hobby and try to explain a hobby to someone that you know who knows about your hobby but doesn't know about the intricacies of something like that. For many of you have seen in my background here that I'm a big Warhammer fan. I've got some models on display here. I've also got some 40k novels just down here. And imagine me trying to explain to you the deep lore. Oh, also D&D as well. But imagine me trying to explain to you the deep lore that goes into some of these things. Sooner or later you'd probably lose interest, but some of you would probably find it deeply fascinating, like myself. And this is sort of where we are with British politics, because at the moment, on the surface, the Tory party appears to be very well all together, all lovey-dovey, happy families. However, when you start to dive below the surface, not all is really as happy as it seems, because the man in charge, Boris Johnson himself, has lied, betrayed, and outright thrown people under the bus to get where he is today. So do not think that Boris Johnson's instincts on this are not sooner or later going to appear, because Johnson himself, as has been reported, thinks that that's what the rest of the Tory party is indeed like. And to be honest, he's right in that regard. So before we jump into today's article talking about what's going to happen to George Eustice probably soon, please do remember to hit that like and share button, and also down below there is a link to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And thank you to all those people who do support me that way. So on with this, and today's article comes from the New European, and it's titled "The Sunlit Uplands. As the Shellfish War rages, the net closes around George Eustice." It's been a gloomy week on the sunlit uplands of sovereignty Britain, where the government is accusing the EU of being shellfish over shellfish. I know. Environment Secretary George Eustice started the tussles by claiming Brussels was flexing its muscles on mussels, as well as bolivar mollusks like oysters, which used to be ought to be allowed to be caught here and then purified over there. Eustice accused the bloc of a, quote, change of heart and, quote, making it up, leading to supply line problems that are devastating for small businesses. Then a December 10th letter from him to a colleague surfaced, making it clear that once we became a, quote, third country on the 1st of January, the export of unpetrified live bolivar mollusks to the EU would simply not be possible. Conspiracy or cock-up, you decide. Nick Holmfirth said her 30-year-old firm of offshore shellfish, which employs about 15 people in Brinksome in Devon, might have to close as a result. This can't be sorted out, and we really need to think. Well, how can we carry on, she said. It takes a long time to actually build and then find the markets to absorb what you're growing, and that market was Europe. This is the model that we have built our entire business on. So, also we thought that it might be taken away from us is really quite devastating. So, Marie Le Pen's advisor, the French MEP Philippe Olivier, told the Daily Express he had a solution. A bipartisan shellfish trade between Britain and France. There was just one problem. The Brexit-loving paper admitted France is not able to do this as a member of the EU. But Boris Johnson, of course, had a cunning plan. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, I've got a bit of fluff stuck in my throat. So Johnson had a cunning plan by declaring Britain should just simply eat more fish to cope with the shortfalls. Since we used to export over 333 tons of the stuff, 330,000 tons of the stuff to the EU every year, that means every non-vegetarian adult Brit should be able to scoff an additional 8 kilograms of extra fish a year. That is more than double the amount that they currently eat now. Time, perhaps, for another one of those three-part government slogans. Stay home, stay calm, save Brexit, sprinkle cod on your cornflakes. Of course, these are some of the types of fish you can eat for breakfast. However, they thought of Nigel Farage's former party had probably put readers off the New European and off kippers for good, and the former Brexit Party MEP Lance Frostman might have done the same for smoked salmon, which his family has been producing under the H. Foreman London Cure brand since 1905. When asked on Twitter whether Brexiteers like him should feel partly responsible for the fishing industry's woes, Lance went on the offensive and hit the roof when a woman asked him about his son's role as the CEO of the right-wing group Turning Point UK. He replied, You really are a filthy, disgusting B-word. My son has more integrity, honesty, love and respect in his little finger than you have in your entire body. I hope Brexit makes your life a misery till the end. You deserve to be miserable. Wow, that's a quite a strong response from something which was basically a genuine question to ask. Alas, the peoples whose lives Brexit is making miserable at the moment mostly appear to be those in Lance's own industry. It's all rather fishy, isn't it? And we have to really bide our time, really, and see what happens, because sooner or later, like I say, you've got a prominent Brexiteer here who now can't export most of his produce that he used to sell to the EU. He can't do it. And the simple assertion of to eat more fish, what we've just said there, the fact that every adult non-vegetarian would have to eat about 8 kilos more a year to be able to consume that is, completely ridiculous. That is twice the amount that, we as Britain consume. As I've said before, one of the main issues that the fishing industry actually face is in their home market. We don't actually eat fish, despite our supposed apparent love for it. And just as I said, in the bizarre twists of November and December last year, where Brexiteers and Brexit supporters and the Brexit media was all about the fishing industry and how it was so precious and it was wonderful, and now nothing. When it is suffering the most, these people are nowhere to be seen. And sooner or later, the guy at the top, George Eustice, I think is going to become the fall guy, potentially, for this. As we said there was basically a letter released saying that he knew all about this. And it's one thing that we've said for quite some time, that we know that the guys in charge of this whole Brexit agenda, the Brexiteers themselves, know the mess they're about to get into. But they're fine with it because, in the long run, they're not going to be overly affected by it. Or at least they don't believe they'll be affected by it. And so it makes perfect sense to have a fall guy in the right position, as is George Eustice in this case. But considering that we've been through scandal after scandal just of the last year and already so far this year, and yet not a single person in the cabinet has even resigned their position out of, I've done so wrong here, I can't continue. Of course, this is now the new Conservative Party taking a leaf out of Donald Trump's book of you never apologise and never admit your mistakes. And of course, sooner or later, the mistakes of Brexit will become so obvious that they themselves won't be able to escape them. So, as always, thanks for watching, and do please remember to hit that like and share button on your way out. And of course, down below there is a link to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link, and thank you to those people who do support me that way. And of course, we'll see you all next time.